Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. India is a different kind of democracy. The people are clearly democratic. The institutions are strong, but the people who are manning those institutions believe more in violating the sanctity of those institutions. And there's a purpose in that. The recent episodes where there has been a tussle between the elected leaders and the governors, the head of the provinces, is taking an ugly shape and has the possibility of rending the country asunder. And I'm amazed that the Prime Minister and Home Minister are keeping quiet on this situation, which is really explosive. Possibly they are thinking that one of the parties shall approach the Supreme Court. Now, when you approach the Supreme Court, you are handing over something in your domain to a third party. And naturally, the supremacy of the Supreme Court, you are acknowledging making one organ of the governance more important than the others. A real political situation is being made a judicial situation, which is bad. I'm referring to the governor chief minister tussles in various states. There was a tussle in Maharashtra till the new government supported by BJP came in. There was a tussle in West Bengal, and the governor of West Bengal was promoted as vice president of India. There's a tussle going on in Delhi, but that's a different kettle of fish, which I've explained in my articles. And there's a tussle in Kerala, and there's a tussle in Tamil Nadu. Now, as per the Indian Constitution, the governor is appointed by the president on the advice of the Prime Minister. Naturally, he represents the political vision of the Prime Minister. But his duties are purely ceremonial. He is a constitutional head. He is not the executive head. The executive head is the chief minister, as at the federal level is the Prime Minister. In fact, there has been a curious assemblage of modernity, constitutionalism, and colonialism. This governorship of a province in India, of a state in India, is as per the Government of India Act 1935, when the British granted limited self-rule to the Indian subjects. And possibly the Government of India thinks that still it inherited that colonial power to give limited self-rule to the state subjects who are not controlled by the party in power at the federal level. And what the Britishers did was, at the level of the constituent territories of the British India, that's the provinces. In these provinces, what happened was that limited government was formed from the limited elections. So the elections were not universal, and they were given limited powers that would not hamper the British interest in India. But now that situation is not there. And the governor was the chief agent to remove these limitations, to impose these limitations, and the governor was appointed by the British for each province. Now the same thing was adopted in the Constitution of India. Nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, everything is good provided it adheres to the certain norms. It is now 2023. So from 1935 to 2023, we have seen many ups and downs in this constitutional issue. But now it is assuming a status which is close to buffoonery. So the notion of the limited governorship is not acceptable. Are the state governors remnants of the British Raj? Are the provinces like colonies under the Union thumb? Governors were all appointed and removed by the Union, seemed to regularly foment federal tensions in opposition governed states. And that's not acceptable. Now, what has happened in Tamil Nadu, for example, the Tamil Nadu governor, Ravi, walked out from one controversy to another controversy. In Kerala, he, being the chancellor, the governor, not Ravi, being the chancellor, objected to the appointment of certain people. He has nobody to object to that. He has to act on the advice of the chief minister. And if he disagrees, he can send back the advice for reconsideration. But he cannot enforce his decision down the throat of the elected chief minister. Now what Ravi did was, he is supposed to read the speech prepared by the government, which he did not. And the provocation was that he deviated from the text of the speech, which is absolutely unconstitutional. These speeches are a party government pamphlet. They are the policy documents. And while there has been a small number of precedents of the governors objecting to some cases, Ravi's action arguably is the worst reaction. Even less governor was his action in describing himself as a governor of Thirugandam, a new name for Tamil Nadu, which is not approved. You cannot change the name of a province on a whim. And he writes himself the governor of Tharigazam. And then he insulted the national flag, national anthem. The national anthem was being sung when he walked out of the assembly. This is absolutely unacceptable, and for this action only, the president, as per the advice of the prime minister, should have sacked him. The governor is the repository of governors and represents the state at one level, and as an agent of the center, has no right to insult the national anthem. And his walking out at that time was a clear insult to national anthem. But what did Mr. Modi do? Nothing. Nada. Zilch. What did Amit Shah, the Home Minister, do? Kept mum, deaf and mute, otherwise very vocal. Now, Article 200 of the Constitution is very clear. It stipulates that a governor shall declare that he is giving assent to the bill or withholding dissent. He can forward a bill to the president. But we have seen the governor sitting on the bill for years together, which they cannot do. But even if he withholds a bill and the bill is passed again by the legislature, then he has to sign the bill. So Ravi and Kerala's governor like Arif Muhammad, they are trying to be impediments in the policy of the elected government. And then Chhattisgarh governor, Ansuya, all these three, along with Dhankar earlier of the West Bengal, are behaving in a manner which is unconstitutional. Now, the Supreme Court has repeatedly stated that the governors have to adhere to that. So much so that at one level, the High Court of Delhi even said that why the elected government should not have the powers which are being exercised by the lieutenant governor. But as I said earlier, here the High Court erred because the case of Delhi is that of a capital city, where the state elected government is more like a corporation rather than that. That was a misnomer. They should not have a government. They should have a chief commissioner only. So governors are bound by the aid and advice of the cabinet. That's a constitutional obligation. But then one thing is there, that there is no constitutional clarity how long the governor can keep a bill pending. If he says that he disagrees, the parliament can, or the legislature can pass it again and then he has to sign it. So what these people are doing, they keep it in the cold storage. Neither say yes nor say no. Till they say no, the bill cannot be reintroduced and repassed. But no constitution can be expected to provide answers to every situation cropping up every time. So I don't blame the constitutional makers. This was assumed that there's a limited period, say month, 2 months, and you return the bill. But here the governors are on a path of reckless confrontation. It's meant to provoke a confrontation so that the public gets tired and it's presented that the government is not functioning properly, and the next election they lose. Or the situation becomes so explosive that the federal government has to step in. And considering the law and order situation going bad, impose Article 356 and have the governor's rule, sack the elected administration or suspend it for a period of time. Now, anything allegedly unconstitutional in law, like in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, needs prompt action by the federal government. The Kerala attempts to remove the governor as a chancellor. Chhattisgarh's effort to provide 76% reservation is for the judiciary to quash. Yes, let the judiciary decide. But the governor usurping the agency of the legislature and the council of ministers and playing judges is simply not acceptable. The breakdown of the governor-cabinet relationship is unfortunate. The governor is a key intermediary in the center-state relationship. He is a connecting link. And if the connecting link is not honest, then the link would be broken. The Constitution gives Parliament and the Union government the upper hand. But that is only when the laws passed by the state clash with those of the center. Here the laws are not clashing. They are being provoked unnecessarily. Maintaining of status quo requires the government to play their part, not overplay it. They are being shown as partisans. Now look at how stupid was Ravi's action, Tamil Nadu. He omitted the names of certain people from the printed text, cast unflattering light on the high office. The address prepared by the government at the start of the session should have been read. But then the governor chose to skip the parts which were important for them, omitted the leaders of the Tamil leaders like Pariyar, Ramaswamy, former Chief Minister Kamraj, Annadurai, and Karunanidhi, and Ambedkar. So he has no reason. He also left with mentioning the Dravidian mode of governance and the state government's commitment to maintain communal harmony. Now what's wrong with that? If the address said that the government is committed to maintaining communal harmony and the governor says no, that means he doesn't want a communal harmony. None of these names of reference are controversial. There was nothing patently false in the text. There was nothing unconstitutional. And it's unclear why the governor found them objectionable. He should at least have explained what's wrong with that. That would not have outraged the constitutional aspect. Now governor is guilty of partisanship, guilty of provoking the legislatures to and leading to the constitutional breakdown of the government, which shall enable the federal government to invoke Article 356. This political Shanghai, these shenanigans are not in good taste. They are precursor to the further divide, not only at the political level, but at the social level, at the legal level, at the constitutional level. And let me tell you, they can at one time lead to the situation where the state says, no, we don't want to be part of the federal. India is already a quasi-federal state. It's not a federal state fully. It's a quasi-federal. It's more unitary, less federal. But it can end in a popular resentment bordering on revolt. And that is what I am afraid of. The present government is doing a great job in every field except in this one, where their agents, their appointees, their nominees in the provinces are acting as political satraps, as sultans are appointed by the Mughal Empire to oversee the provinces. They are not that. They should understand the constitutional, stay within the constitution and not provoke tensions and political head-on collisions. And the sooner the Prime Minister and the Home Minister understand it and implement it in national interest, the better it shall be. Thank you.